Hi, my name is Chris Aaron, and I work for SAP Marketing and Solution Management for Business Technology Platform with a focus on integration. And I'm joined today by SAP mentor, Morten Wittrock from KMD in Denmark. Welcome, Morten. Morten's here
Thanks, Chris.
today to give the SAP mentor perspective on SAP integration, specifically around migrating from process integration, process orchestration to SAP Integration Suite. Morten, do you want to introduce yourself and explain your relationship in the SAP mentor community?
Sure. I've been working with SAP products for, I think, 18 years or so now, specifically in the integration space. So going back to SAP XI 2.0, PI, PO onwards. And nowadays, I'm completely focused on BTP in general and specifically the SAP Integration Suite.
Great. So we wanted to talk about, obviously, the migration from on-premise to cloud. Let's start with some advice for how to get started. How would you recommend to a customer or a partner, how should they start looking at moving from on-premise to cloud?
Well, you have a ton of options for learning about Integration Suite. I'd say you're really spoiled for choice. If you're a PO developer, you want to learn about cloud integration or the Integration Suite, you have missions on SAP Discovery Center. You have a lot of tutorials on developers.sap.com to get started with. You have some really great courses also on OpenSAP. Those are free as well. Then there's the SAP community site, of course. Has a ton of really great blog posts. And if you're stumped on something when you're learning the platform, you can ask your questions in there, and you can get help from some really smart community peers. Well, you need to sign up for TechEd, of course.
Okay.
some great Integration Suite sessions this year, also free. So yeah, there's a ton of material out there to get started. And also, if you don't have Integration Suite in your company, you can go with BTP free tier to get up and running with the tenant for cloud integration and for Integration Suite at zero cost to very quickly get started, get some hands-on experience with the new tools.
Okay, excellent. And then not all customer projects are created equal, right? So as customers are looking to move to the cloud, do you have any advice in terms of how to plan a migration or how to structure a project like this?
Sure. I mean, in order to do the full migration from, if you have PO today and you want to go to Integration Suite, we do still have a couple of pieces that are still on the roadmap. But my main advice today would be don't wait for those last remaining pieces to be in place. Get started already today. Use the free tier if you don't have the system. So you can start building that knowledge, building the skills of the new tools. Later on, there will be, from SAP side, a tool to help you automate migration of your PO content to the Integration Suite. But your developers will, still need to learn the new tools. So really, I would say, don't wait for everything to be in place. Start building the skills. And also, yeah, if you're a PO developer, you already have some really valuable experience that you can bring to the new platform, even though it's new tools. I mean, that knowledge of how to build an integration, knowledge of integration patterns, how to transform messages, and so on. Most of that will transfer directly over to Integration Suite. So, you might say, even though in the long run, Integration Suite will replace PO, it definitely doesn't make PO developers obsolete in any way. I mean, quite the opposite is true, really. So, yeah, it's a great time to be a PO developer.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure the audience will appreciate that last point. So I wanted, with our third question, just to talk about why Integration Suite, and I'll give a bit of a a reference here to a paper that SAP sponsored recently with Forrester. So it was a research study, about 6 customers, different geographies, different sizes around the world. And they looked at how successful they were at moving from PIPO to Integration Suite. And essentially there were many justifications, right? On the financial side, there was a ROI of about 300%, payback of less than 6 months. It was everything you'd expect from a SAP research paper. But I wonder, Morten, you've read this report, and there are other benefits outside the financials. And I wondered if you just share your perspective on some of the benefits of moving.
I did read it, yeah. And I mean, the numbers are really nice, for sure. But something else did actually catch my eye, and that was developer happiness. And the companies that Forrester talked to, they mentioned how they saw job satisfaction go up on the integration teams that introduced Integration Suite. And that's exactly what I would have expected as well. Don't get me wrong, I love PO. But I also have to acknowledge that, developing for PO can feel a bit constrained at times. And I think many PO developers coming to Integration Suite and specifically to cloud integration will experience those constraints are not there anymore. You have a lot of freedom to model your integrations, to design them. And I think that can be a real breath of fresh air. So I think that's what we're seeing in those, job satisfaction numbers. So you can do more, you can do it faster as well. And also, I think, developers, that's something else that they really appreciate. That's being on the latest version of the tools, right? And on cloud integration in the Integration Suite, you are by definition always on the latest version. So you don't have to wait for months or even years to get your hands on, all the cool new features. There's just a steady flow of them all the time, right? So that's another thing that's contributing to developer happiness and that increased job satisfaction. So I think that was a fun aspect of that report, that less quantifiable than all the financial numbers, but important nevertheless.
Excellent. So we'll include a link to the Forrester report in case it can help you with your company's consideration of Integration Suite. Morten, thank you for sharing your perspectives and your experience.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, Morten.